All right, I'd like to welcome you to our next series sponsored by the Irish Genealogical and Historical Society. Uh, Nigel, Giddey, and I have been presenting these classes now for a few years, and we're happy that you're joining us today. And for those of you that aren't able to join in person, you're going to be watching and viewing this recording. So we are going to be able to upload this recording to our YouTube channel. So I feel like we're coming forward with all this technology and pretty exciting. So I just want to also remind you to make sure that you keep yourself muted during our presentation, which will be about an hour. And then we'll have breakout rooms where you'll have a chance to talk with Nigel and I and other people that are helping us do the breakout rooms and get your questions answered. So be sure to write them down as we're going, or also use the chat because we are monitoring the chat. And if there's specific questions that you have, we can address those as we're giving our presentation. So I'm Eva Doherty Gremmert. I live in Washington State in the United States on the West Coast. I've been a genealogist now for, well, let's say 5 decades now. That sounds like a really long time, but I am also involved with the Doherty Clan Association, given that that was my maiden name. I live part of the year in Donegal in a home in the village where my grandmother came from. So that's really fun to have a second home in Ireland as well. My sister, Rosie Doherty Gremmert, is doing our admin back end stuff. She'll be monitoring the chat for us and posting things. So, yes, she is my sister and my sister-in-law, as can happen in families. She married my husband's brother. So it makes genealogy pretty easy for our children from both families because it's the same except for the parents. So anyways, I'd like to introduce Nigel Giddey for a minute, and he's going to get us going and introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Nigel Giddey. I work in IT. I used to work for Prudential in Ireland until they sold us off to an Indian company called Tata Consulting Services. I've been involved in genealogy from my youth, from when I was a teenager. I'm originally from Cape Town, South Africa. I don't have Irish ancestry, but I have been helping people for the last 15 to 20 years with the Irish genealogy and became involved with Eva. So that's when I decided that we should have a course that we could present online to help people find their Irish genealogy. You, you want to go ahead, Eva?
Well, you were going to do the
Yeah.
overview of the lessons, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I don't want you to see all my. That was the wrong one to show you. All right. We have a OneNote that we use for our course material, and you shall have the OneNote Drive link to see this material. I'm just going to blow it up to the whole screen. We have 4 lessons. So lesson 1 is course introduction. Lesson 2 is about finding your deceased Irish ancestors. Lesson 3 is adding memories and sources to the information that you found. And lesson 4 is how to prepare for pre-1864 research in Ireland. So lesson 1 and lesson 3 is about recording your family history. The website that we use is FamilySearch.org. It's free for a lifetime. There are other websites that you can use, which we will go into a little bit later over here. Ancestry and MyHeritage. The main difference between FamilySearch and Ancestry and MyHeritage is that FamilySearch has one global family tree. It's like a wiki, but for your family history, where everybody has edit access, except for living people that you add to the family tree. That's private to you. The others you can have, each person can have their own individual family tree that other people can't touch unless you give them edit access. So that's the main difference. So In lesson 2, we go more in depth in how to find your Irish ancestors. So that's probably one that you should definitely come back for and attend, as that will give you the details of how do you go beyond personal knowledge to find people. Lesson 3 is if you find sources for that information, how do I record that in FamilySearch? And then lesson 4, we go into some more detailed websites that can help you with your pre-1864. Why 1864? Because Irish government civil registration started in 1864, and genealogy from that point onwards is fairly easy if your ancestor has been recorded in government civil records. What I also want to show you to help you, the idea of this class is so that you can help yourself. What do you do when we are not around? So the first thing that I want to point you to on the side besides the lessons is FamilySearch and other help over here. The first thing to look at this point is help with your specific country of research. If you click on this, it will give you a drill down from the world to a region to your country, and it's a free 20-minute Zoom session with a FamilySearch support person. You have to give them some detail about the person that you're researching so that they can prepare for this Zoom session with you so that they can help you and do some homework before they meet with you on the Zoom class. Brigham Young University also has virtual one-to-one help via Zoom. So, you know, this is where you can get personalized help. Both are free. It's not going to cost you money to get that 20-minute Zoom session. If you need help with registering your FamilySearch account, this is a link that can help you with that. I've put over here at the bottom in these class notes, I have added some help with creating your FamilySearch account. So you can just click on that link. The other help that we want to advertise here, a very good video, Beginner's Guide to Irish Genealogical Records, available online. And then FamilySearch is a help center. The Family Tree Basics is about how you enter and record information on FamilySearch, add photos, add sources, or add text stories, or add audio. They don't do video. There's their Learning Center. They have a YouTube page. There's a portal that if you're in a FamilySearch support center or discovery center in your local community, you can actually get free access to Ancestry, Find My Past, My Heritage, newspapers.com and other websites. So that, I think, this FamilySearch portal works when you're in a FamilySearch discovery or center. The FamilySearch wiki, if you want to, on a specific country of your research, they have different countries, but there's a link specifically to Ireland. That's all the FamilySearch site links. Frequently asked questions, BYU FamilySearch and family history basics tutorials. Now, below here, I have picked out some videos that I think that some of them are very old, but the information is very, very good. So if you're getting started, there are 3 videos to help you, and the playing time, you've got 15 minutes, 53 and 1.5 hours. Very, very good for your civil records, which we'll be jumping into the next lesson, which is very useful. They were started from 1864 for all of Ireland. Church records, census and substitutes, immigration, emigration, jurisdictions, Catholic ancestry, Scots-Irish ancestry, and some other topics of interest. And then I haven't categorized these other videos here, but probably this top part of the videos will be most helpful for you. Maps and places in Ireland. This is going to help you a whole lot in finding places. A very good website that we will refer to. Ireland has 64,000 plus townlands. Where is each townland on a map? That will help you. And we have some other maps over here. We'll go more into that in lesson 2 to help you with knowing where the locality is on a map. Recommended books, Getting It Right. This is about how to definitively record your family history in the proper way, whether you're using a desktop computer or on a cloud computing service like FamilySearch or Ancestry. or My Heritage or Find My Past. There's some notes on DNA that Eva has put together. We have forms and documents there where Eva is going to refer to this now when she starts off. In the old days, you recorded it on paper, so there's a four-generation pedigree chart, a family group sheet, a research log. We have some information about how to merge, do match merge, which is if you've got duplicates in your FamilySearch website, is how to do that. Irish names, some interesting information about Irish names. Religions in Ireland, just a list of religions that you may come across when you're doing your research. There's some Irish genealogy research community groups. We need to extend that. We haven't done so much. And then I want to introduce you to browser bookmarks. So I put together a collection. There's probably over 470 links here to help you with your Irish genealogy. So these are the links down here, but I've also put them into a file, and this is how you can import it into your browser. There are some instructions on how to import this list of links into your browser. So I put what I think are the most important websites for you to look at to start off with, these premier sites. If you want to find information about a recent birth, marriage, or death, and by recent I mean for births less than 100 years, for marriages less than 75 years, and for deaths less than 50 years. If it's within that recent period, then you need to go to the Republic of Ireland website or a Northern Ireland website, and you have to provide sufficient information for the person at the government office to find that record and then to send that record on to you. It will cost some money, but it is available over there. And then, of course, if you want to go beyond further back in time, these other websites will help you. You've got general island-wide websites that apply to all of Ireland, burial and graveyards, computer genealogy software. This is for software to have on your personal computer, whether it's Windows, Mac, or if you, there's even one case if you're running for Linux, Gramps does it on Linux. I've got cities in Ireland, so these are probably regional wide, maybe more than one county. Then I've got counties and cities, websites associated with them. And it's quite a long list. And then directories, who lived at what street and what year. Educational institutions, immigration and passenger lists, government records. I repeat some of those websites. If they're less than 100 years ago, where to go, or you've got each period of time, what I recommend for each time period, which would be the best. So I'm going from the recent to the past. So for births from 1922 onwards, this will actually only come in from about April next year. I'm a little bit ahead of time, but from April next year, you'll be able to go back to become as recent as 1925. So you've got government records, census records, with government records, census, tax, wills, the help and self-education that I've already pointed out to you, the same links over there. Maps and places, which is the same as in our class notes. Military and seamen, names and surnames, newspapers and obituaries, and religious records. So how can you get this into your browser? So what you can do is come into our notes, right-click on this little file icon, do a save as, save it to your downloads over here. So I'm going to overwrite this one. I've saved it there already, and I'm going to click save. Yes, I'm going to replace it. And then I'll open my browser. So I have a browser over here. It's completely empty. You need to show your bookmarks bar. So it'll probably help you if you can go down to settings, help, or is it, no, it'll be bookmarks and lists. And make sure that you show, this is hide bookmarks bar because I clicked on show it previously, but show your bookmarks bar. And now we want to import bookmarks. So after bookmarks and lists, I think there should be a little bit of a list here to import. Yeah, import bookmarks and settings. So I'm going to left click on this, and I'm going to, well, it comes up with a file. Then I have to click on these three dots again. I don't know why it's asking me to do that. Bookmarks and lists, input bookmarks and settings. That is not working the way I've done it a number of times. Let me just see what is. I'm going to right click on the bar, and do we have an import over here? Otherwise, I'll have to come back when I've just collected myself and show you again. Bookmark Manager. I'm going to left click on Bookmark Manager and try again. This should work for me. And in the Bookmark Manager, bookmarks and lists, import bookmark settings. That is not working for me. I'll have to come back and show you again. I don't know why that is not working for me. Import data. It should come up with a little pop-up, and then it'll guide you. You want to import just your just that file. So I'll close this and maybe try once more with my browser over here. Or otherwise, I will try it on. This is on Firefox. So let me try and see bookmarks. I'll try it over here. Bookmarks toolbar. Where we go? Mozilla Firefox. It's not working. If I go.
Well, Nigel, it worked when you showed me this earlier this week. I
I
don't know
know.
what's
I
happening
know.
you. Why don't
I
we, yeah, why don't we go on and people
bookmark.
can contact us directly if they need help
Yeah.
with importing this. Let's go
Yeah.
back to the
Manage bookmarks and then import bookmarks and backup. Let me just see. Import bookmarks from HTML. Okay, this one is working in Firefox. I'm going to open it over there, open the file and open, and it will import it and it'll put it into an imported folder, which I shall find, but I'll probably have to redo this. Bookmarks menu and bookmarks bar. I'll have to redo this for you, but the end result is that you will have bookmarks that you will have in your browser. So you have Irish Genealogy, and you can go and show that on your bookmarks. But I apologize that it's not working on the Google Chrome as I expected. These are the instructions. Open the import. It just didn't pop up. Choose your HTML file, and then it'll be imported. It may go into an imported section for you. So there, I'll
it
go
worked
back.
on, yeah, it worked on Chrome for me, so I don't know what's happening today, but
Yeah, that it's
yeah.
not doing that. So apologies for that. All right, we'll go back to you, Eva. Yeah.
Yes, so one of the things that we want to point out is it it is said about Irish genealogy that it's impossible to do, and it's not impossible. I'm so grateful that Nigel has put together these resources for us that we can find different websites. And it's one of the things that we're constantly updating. So you have the link to this OneNote, and how long it will stay open, I don't know. Rosie has put the link in there if for some reason you were having trouble getting to it or couldn't find it in the email that you were sent. But we're constantly updating and changing this, and you will have the most current version as you keep linking back into it to use it. Uh, it is important to manage your expectations, and we will talk in next week's lesson about what there are with realistic expectations. Just if for a moment, Nigel, would you switch to the beginning of lesson 2? So you can see we have a chart here. We'll go over it a little more detail next week. But for Roman Catholic records, there are some early records back to 1671, Church of Ireland 1634, and Presbyterian at the end of the 1600s. We have the average start date on there as well, but just don't give up hope. There are always more records becoming available online, and there are companies and individuals that are doing more research and trying to digitize records that are currently held in various archives. So so that's very exciting that we have that available. Nigel, do you want to go on with the I think we kind of covered the FamilySearch help available, but do you want to touch on that a minute?
Yeah, well, I think I did FamilySearch help sufficiently, Eva.
Yeah. So Rosie?
Can I jump in for a minute?
Yeah.
So I just want to take a second and help you, everyone here, to understand exactly how amazing this is that you have access to all of this. And in case you don't know, it's all being recorded. I mean, I've been trying to send that messages to everybody even as they join. And so you'll get access to those recordings. So even if something's moving a little quickly, you'll get it. But you can see on the screen right now this book, Help, I Have Irish Ancestors. And Eva and Nigel are the authors of this incredible resource for you. And I am going to put a link to it down here in the chat. But the reason why it is so amazing is not only just the content that is in the book, but they've included 250 hyperlinks in there. It's a Kindle version. So it is this incredible resource. Maybe some of you also who've taken the class before have gotten it and you feel like it's been a great help and resource to you as well. But they put these classes on for free. And this is a way that you can help support that these classes will continue to be available for other people, is to just click through, get the book, support them, and you will not regret having this resource at your fingertips.
Thank you, Rosie. We appreciate the endorsement. When we first started doing these classes, some of the people in the class said, you should put this in a book. And Nigel and I initially didn't have any intention on doing that, but I happen to be a published author in one of my other hats that I wear. And so I said to Nigel in one of our meetings, we could do that. And so it took us a little over a year, but we did. So yeah, check it out. It is only available on Ancestry. It is a Kindle version, but Ancestry has a way that you can download an app and you don't have to have Kindle, and you can have other e-readers that you can read and utilize the book. The intent was that you could have it open next to you while you're doing your research, and you could have the links available to you. We also have all of those links in this OneNote, and you're getting access to that too. So, so just remember that. The next thing we want to talk about is how we record our family history. So the first way, these are paper charts that all genealogy software is based on. Back in the day, 50 years ago, when I started doing research, we didn't have personal computers. Many of you probably remember that day. But we would have a pedigree chart, and Nigel's going to go to that link. We are trying to figure out how to get these links in this OneNote to just be the chart itself. But currently, to look at it, you have to actually go in and download the chart. So it is, that's the one thing about this whole OneNote that is a little bit awkward. But just as a reminder for pedigree chart, the person that is in space 1 there is typically yourself or who you're starting with. And then person 2, just going up a little higher there, is the father of person 1. And Nigel, if you could scroll down a little bit, person 3 is the mother of person 1. And you have space on these, this is a paper chart, to put birth place, marriage place, death place. So there isn't a lot of information to space for information on here. The software programs have more room for it, but this, again, we're reminding you so that you understand the basic theory and logic of recording your family history. The father side of the family pedigree chart goes up towards the top, and the mother side goes from the bottom after person 3 over that way. When we used to do this on paper, you look over on the right hand side, it shows chart number. The first one would have been chart number 1, and then under the people there, you can put the next chart that things are going to if you're doing it on paper. And we used to have binders full of these charts. So person number 1 on this chart is the same as person number 7 on chart number 28 or something like that. So you'd have to flip around. Luckily now with computer programs, we just click on the person and it goes to it, and you can see their parents, grandparents on back that way. So that's a pedigree chart. It only just shows your direct line ancestors as far back as you're researching. But there's more to family history research than that. So we have the family group record. the family group record is a way to record the particular father and mother of the family. This family group record titles them husband and wife. You can find different family group records that title them different ways, and software programs titled in different ways. Then you have a place to put information, particularly about the husband, about the wife, and also it'll show a place where you can have their marriage record, who their mother and father were, and their children. So, and on this particular family group record, there's a space for two spouses if the children married and or remarried someone else. When you're doing a computer program, you can add as many spouses as are needed. Rosie and my grandmother was married 3 times, so this chart would not have worked for paper records of our grandmother. So, a grandmother on the other side had 12 children. So this particular paper chart would not have worked for her because there's only room for 4. So that's one of the reasons I really do like keeping family history records in computer programs, because you have the opportunity to have it custom to your particular family, whatever those needs are. The third paper record that we want to talk about that's really important is your research log. Now, back when we were going to archives and wanting to track what we were doing, there's a place where you could put the location and or call number on this particular example of a research log. But I also think it's important to keep this, whether you have it in an Excel spreadsheet format, a note on your phone, even using a paper research log. One of the things I've noticed recently is that some of the online programs will tell you you already looked at that particular census record today. Because I don't know about you, but I'm looking around for somebody and I can be back in the same file looking and go, oh, wait, I think I already looked at that. So a research log is going to help you make sure that you don't waste your precious time on looking at the same thing that you already looked at. Now, saying that, there are additions to many of these online databases. So just because you looked for a family a month ago or 2 months ago in a particular online resource doesn't mean you might not find new information about that person. As I said, there are companies and individuals that are extracting data and updating the online databases. So I think it's important, again, to review some of those. But if you're wanting to look at a particular census and you know that that database has not been added to, you want to make sure that you're not duplicating your efforts. So those are the 3 sort of basis for all genealogy research. There's other resources that we have available, and we'll go over some of them through the rest of these lessons. But that's the basics. Nigel, do you want to talk a little bit about the different computer programs that we have for genealogy?
Yes, just briefly. You got Legacy Family Tree. This is Windows only. So perhaps I will go to my bookmarks over here. And where do we have it? Computer and genealogy software. So you got Legacy Family Tree, Ancestral Quest, Windows and Mac, Roots Magic, Windows and Mac. So I think these are the 3 best. I don't know that Family Tree Maker is keeping itself up to date or will have further updates. Mac Family Tree for Mac only, Brothers Keeper, and then Gramps. This is for Linux, if you read Windows, Mac, and Ball and System distributions. But the 3 that we would recommend is the top 3, and the personal favorite for Eva, which is very complete, is Legacy Family Tree.
Yeah, and you might say, can't I just keep my genealogy on a tree like FamilySearch or Ancestry, MyHeritage. And I recommend that you have another place to keep your family tree. Yes, it can seem a bit daunting to duplicate your efforts because you do need to put the information in your FamilySearch, your MyHeritage, and or your Ancestry account if you have one. But the thing about having it on your own computer by using these other programs is that when you have something you're not sure of, you're still researching whether that's a correct link, a correct parent, if that sibling is really part of the family. If you put that information out on the World Wide Web, you will then discover that other people will begin to take it as proof that just because, showed up on the web, it must be true. So in order to avoid these errors being duplicated across people's tree, I keep my research part on my legacy file. And then I'll put into the other programs the information when I'm sure that it's accurate. So my guesses I keep on my own tree, on my own computer, and the stuff I've proven I will sort of share with the world. So that's a pretty common way that most genealogists actually will keep track of how they're doing research. So do you want to review the cloud-based programs then?
Yeah, just the basics. A family tree, you're going to start off and enter your personal information. This is sign on to FamilySearch with your FamilySearch user ID and password. It's going to ask you for a mobile phone number or an email address, and that is because people forget their user ID and password, so you have a way to recover it. That's quite common. Ancestry as well, you can record your family tree, but you can have it's unique to you, so nobody else can edit unless you give them edit access. And I think in an account on Ancestry, you can have more than one family tree, whereas FamilySearch is the global family tree, and another one is MyHeritage. So these are basically cloud computing services. So instead of recording it on your own personal computer, you're recording it on somebody else's computer, and they take care of the backups and making sure that it is safe from damage. So when you go into FamilySearch and it's your first time, you're going to enter your personal details. Now, personal details of living people is private. Photographs or documents or text or audio is public, but you will be prompted to select public or private. And if you mark it as private, it will be unique to you only. FamilySearch have introduced the possibility that you can share living information about living people with other people, but you specifically have to share it. By default, everybody that's living is private there. So when you start on FamilySearch, you enter information, starting with the living person, yourself, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, as far as you can go according to your personal knowledge. Now, just remember that you share grandparents with your cousins, with your with your great grandparents. You have second cousins, and with a second great grandparents, you're sharing information with your third cousins. So the advantage of putting it on a global family tree like FamilySearch is that you will start to discover, and I have met second cousins that I didn't know about, and third cousins that I actually met in person in London some years ago, as a result of sharing it with FamilySearch. So you can actually meet up with family. With regards to memories, is pictures, audio, and the size of the file is up to 15 megabyte. And if you don't want it to be public, please mark it as private there. Now, typically in FamilySearch, you enter dates and the place name for information regarding birth or christening, marriage, death, or burial. And how to record this information. This is a very, very good definitive guide. What happens if a person dies at sea or if they're born on an aeroplane? How do you record that information? This book will help you a whole lot. It's written by Mary Slawson, who's a personal friend of Eva Gremmert, and that will give you some very good information. When it comes to entering information on FamilySearch, use the surname and given name from a child's birth. So for women, please always use the maiden surname in FamilySearch there, and you record the name as it was on the original christening record or birth record. Now, what happens if spelling changes in the software, both in computer programs and on places like FamilySearch or Ancestry? They have an alternate name field, so you can add several different alternate names. It can be a nickname, can be their married name. And this will allow the computer programs, when it does searches for you, to find matches with indexed records. It will search on the name, the official name that you give, plus the alternative names, so that you have a greater chance of finding people using the alternative names in these computer programs. Please enter dates in long format to avoid confusion between formats used between Europe and North America. So 26th of December 2022, rather than, Americans would write 12/26 2022 in Ireland. We would write 12 slash, so we'll do 26/12/2022. So to avoid confusion as to whether it's the day first and then the month, or the month and then the day, recorded in long format. When recording events in, especially for for dates, ideally you want the year when an event took place to be recorded. So if you're not sure about when it took place, FamilySearch and other computer software programs allow you to add qualifiers before the date. So you can say calculated. So if somebody died in 1940 and they were 70 years old, you subtract 70 and you can say calculated 1870. Maybe somebody got married in 1870 and their father was deceased, and on the marriage record they ask you to record the name of the father. You can record the name, but afterwards they will say deceased, and then you can say, well, he died before 1870. Likewise, you can say after 1870, about 1870, or you can give a range of dates. So we have found people that, let's say they are 50 years old in the 1901 census, and magically in the 1911 census, 10 years later, they are 65 years old and are at retirement age. They've aged 15 years. This could be because people don't know what their real date of birth was, or they didn't know how old they were, or when the person died, let's say the spouse or the child was giving the age at death, and that doesn't agree with what came in the census. So you can have a range of years, say from 1860 to 1880. Now, when
Well, or
yeah.
Nigel, like in the case of my second great grandmother, every 10 years of census, she was only 7 years older. So that was consistent from the census after she was married until the one just before she died. She only aged, I don't know how that happened, but she somehow found the fountain of youth and was only 7 years older every 10 years.
The other thing you will find is oftentimes if a couple gets married, the wife will not make herself older than the husband. She will actually give a false age to say that she's about the same age as her husband or a year younger when she might be a few years older. So watch out for that as well. When you come to record a place, the more specific the better, but generally they want a town or a townland, a county in Ireland. So I live in Letterkenny at the moment. It's in County Donegal in Ireland. Now you use the place name as it was at the time that the event took place. So for example, somebody could be born in Ireland in 1900, but in 1950 when they pass away, they could have died in the Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland, because the country split in 1922 into two, unfortunately, but that was history. I'll give you an example. I come from Cape Town, South Africa, and The province, it was originally, when the Dutch came along, it was called the Cape of Good Hope because they found the way to the east. The British conquered and took over permanently in 1806, and then from then onwards it became a colony. So it was the Cape Colony. And then as the British conquered more in South Africa, it was divided into 4 provinces, and Cape Town fell within the Cape Province. And in 1994, when South Africa became fully democratic, they divided the country, instead of 4 provinces, into 9 provinces, and Cape Town landed in the Western Cape. So it went, the region, the larger region, not just the city, went from Cape of Good Hope to Cape Colony to Cape Province to the Western Cape. So you use the name at the time that it was called. For example, another one is, my mother was born in Keetmanshoop, which today is called Namibia. But when she was born in the 1920s, it was called Southwest Africa, but before 1914 it was German West Africa. So a name can change, sorry, a place can change names, and just to be aware of that. When entering data, you maybe find a duplicate. So when entering information for a deceased person in FamilySearch, they will search the entire database for a duplicate. FamilySearch may present you with a list of possible duplicates. Only choose one if you're absolutely sure this is your deceased ancestor. Otherwise, create a new record for your deceased ancestor. We will go over merging 2 people. So from 2 records, making 1 record. We'll cover that in lesson 3, but it can be difficult for some people. So be patient until we get to lesson 3 and we explain how that can be done. Eva, do you want to go on to historical records? Yeah.
Thank you. So one of the things we're trying to do with this lesson 1 is to give you a basis in genealogy research that will help you with your Irish research. A lot of these principles we've talked about already. It doesn't matter what country you're looking at. But one of the things that we want to point out that will help specifically with your research with Ireland is that you understand how the historical events are going to impact the genealogical records. So there's a few things that we want to make you aware of. First of all, the British came in and took over Ireland's government. They made it so it was illegal to be participating in any Irish cultural things like the Irish language. They made it so that it was illegal to participate in any religion other than the government promoted religion. And so they enacted over a few years the Irish penal laws. Now you can Google search those and find out what they were, because the Irish came in and took over the government starting in 1608 and 1609. And so over the next 85, 90 years, they enacted these laws to restrict the original local Irish freedoms and ability to own land, to vote, to even participate in religious ceremonies and ordinances. So there were loosening of those laws over the next couple hundred years. And in fact, the Catholic Emancipation Act was enacted in 1829. But the Church of Ireland was the state church between 1537 and 1870. There were not very many records kept of different religion, like I said, ordinances or events before those years. So the church records before 1845 were the official records, but again, it was illegal to do some of those things. But the government recorded non-Catholic marriages beginning the 1st of April in 1845. But the thing that was the biggest help to genealogists was beginning in 1864, the government began civil registration of births, marriages, and deaths. And it was mandatory. But saying that it was mandatory didn't mean that every small local location actually complied with the civil registration. So there's places where it wasn't available up until 1880. And the local churches did start keeping good records of their parish registries about that same time, and even in some parishes earlier than that. So many of the online databases are recording civil registration as well as the parish registry information. So keep that in mind as you're going through this. We've said in our course description that it's easier to find if you have ancestors that were living in Ireland after 1864, mainly because of this civil registration. But it is possible to identify your ancestors before that time. So one of the big things that we wanted to give you access to here in a lesson 1 that you might find useful over the next week, before we're talking specifically about finding deceased ancestors in Ireland, is the civil registration districts. Nigel, do you want to talk a little bit about those? And you found this amazing PDF for us.
Yeah. So just one item to say about civil registration. There was, in the early years, about a 10% non-compliance. If you that they didn't register their children being born with the government, and the reason, well, that could have been because you didn't like the British, but also what you need to be aware of with civil registration, that if you registered late, you had to pay a fine. So guess what people did if they were late? They just gave a false birth date. How was the government going to know that the child was born 3 months ago instead of 3 weeks ago? So just be aware that the birth date may not be the actual correct birth date given in the civil registration document. So if there is a clash between the civil registration document and a christening record, trust the christening record, because oftentimes in the Catholic faith, people had the child christened very soon, like within sometimes a day or two after the child was born. So that would provide the accurate date of birth. Now, when you went to register, you actually had to go to a registration office. So I live in Letterkenny, opposite the hospital. In what was the old hospital was a building. I had 2 children born in Letterkenny. I had to fill out a form, hand that form in, go to the civil registration office to register the birth of my children. So there are civil registration districts, and we give the name. So when you search, and we'll go into that in lesson 2 at irishgenealogy.ie, they will list the names of people, and by the side you will also see civil registration districts. So what civil registration district falls within a particular county, and so you have a list of names over here, and there is a map also that can help you. So if I click on, sorry, this will give you a county and it'll give you a list. So if I'm going to Donegal, and it'll give me a list of registration districts. That's that one map over here. And this website also will give you a list of civil registration districts and the names that fall within that civil registration district. And you also have this little chart over here, which is very, very useful. And below at the bottom, you can download this chart for yourself. To help you. I think I also have in maps, I might have a map of the registration district. So just let me have a look on maps and places on the left-hand side. Yeah, maps and places in Ireland. And did we do civil reg? Hold it. Got a townland database. This is it, Superintendent's Registration District map. So this is a nice little map where you can actually see, and I want to zoom it up over here. Now, what you will notice is the Strabane Civil Registration District stretches across 2 counties. You have Strabane in Tyrone and Strabane in Donegal. So don't be put off by the fact that one civil registration district may be noted under 2 counties. It's because the boundary of that civil registration district went across 2 counties. You can see the little arrow that they've got here showing that it goes across the border. So this map will also prove useful to you. Yes, Eva?
And that's important because after 1922, those counties where you have that little arrow there, one is in the Republic and the other is in Northern Ireland. And so that's why we're trying to point that out, is you might be looking for records actually in a different country that actually really apply to your family.
Yeah. You got here, for example, Ballyshannon went across Fermanagh and Donegal. Irvinstown goes between Tyrone and Fermanagh, and that says Strabane between Tyrone and Donegal. You've got Ballymoney crossing 2 counties as well. So you can have a look at that map. It will prove very useful to you when you want to know which county that civil registration district fell into. But this is also a very, very good use. And then notice that some registration districts changed names. Well, Laois was originally known as Queen's County. Offaly was originally known as King's County. So just be aware of that you might have those name changes there. Okay. Eva, do you want to go on?
Yeah, so another thing to understand is Ireland did have census records that were taken every 10 years since 1821. And it would be really helpful if we had access to those records. But there were a couple of different things that impacted them. And currently, only the 1901 and 1911 census records are intact. Next spring, the 1926 census records are supposed to become available online. We didn't have there wasn't a 1921 census taken because of the Civil War and all the things that were happening in the 1920s in Ireland. So there are some extracts from 1841 and 1851 that didn't get burned or pulped because there were people, when they went to go to get the pension, didn't have a birth record available or a baptism record available to prove their age, that they were eligible for the pension. So they were able to go into the census records at that time, because the census records were still available, and they could get the copy of the census and then prove that they were that child of that age and eligible for the pension. So one of the things that I heard, it may be an urban myth, but that of some of those records, there were records that were burned in the fire that destroyed a lot of records in Dublin. But before that, the census records were told to be pulped. They were supposed to be copied over onto another source before they were pulped, but whoever were the administrative people in Dublin at the time, they pulped them and didn't copy them. So we don't have access to the full census. One of the things that was just discovered recently is there were some 1851 records that have been digitized and put online of certain small areas in Ireland. Unfortunately for Rosie and I, our particular townland where our great-grandparents were living was not in those records, but almost the whole parish of Clonmany, which is the neighboring parish in County Donegal, is available. So for many of our friends that are doing research over there, they were able to find their families on those earlier census records. So there have been some people who have been trying to extract information from paperwork that when the fire happened in Dublin, papers blew up and landed all over Ireland, and some of them were collected back into Dublin, and I understand they've been kept in boxes somewhere in the basements of the government buildings there. And there are people that are spending their time extracting that information and digitizing it and putting it available online. It's not going to be the full census for each of the years. But like I said, some people may get lucky, and it might be your particular parish area that that has the census records. Let's see. So again, as we've said, before 1864, the best source of information is church records, and we will be discussing that in the lesson next week and on into in lesson 4, where we talk about some other pre-1864 records. You have access to all of our notes here that you can peruse over the next week or weeks to help you if you come up with some of these things. Be sure to email us if you have a query. We'll try to answer your question. The thing that we're going to do now, for those of you that are on our class live, is we're going to go into breakout rooms where you can ask us a specific question. Then you can take yourself off mute. For those of you that are watching this class on the YouTube channel, feel free to reach out to us at irishancestryclass@gmail.com, and we'll try to see if we can help you. It's the thing that Nigel and I want to do, is help other people with their research. I first went to Ireland with Rosie and our other sister and our dad in 1985, and I can't explain to you what it felt like to walk down the lanes and look at the fields and walk into the buildings, the old, which at the time some of them were ruins, where our ancestors had lived and where we came from. So my goal has always been to try to help people have a similar experience. So at this point, we're going to stop the recording, and we will do the breakout rooms. Just a second.
Alan is online.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, thank you.